Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
Why are there so many Jathas, Maryadas in the Panth when there's only one Khalsa Panth? There's a supposition behind this, yeah? The supposition is, if there is one Panth, there should be one Maryada. That's what they're asking, right? But that's not true. The Panth means a path. A Panth can also mean the Fauj. Khalsa Akal Pura Ki Fauj. Yeah? Now, like I said earlier as well, that in a Fauj, not everybody does the same thing. The SAS soldiers, they don't train the same as the soldiers that are training for doing medicine. ठीक है ना? Everybody has, and even in the same Jatha, let's just say, okay, you want to accept Jathas as being, even there's no such thing as Jatha. पहली गल ये समझ लो. There's like a school of thought. But everybody in the Jatha is not the same. Any Jatha you want to talk about, call it in Taksal or AKJ or any Nihang Singhs. Every single person has their own rehat. Some people read more part, some people read less part. So this supposition is that Jatha means that you have a certain rehat, and there's no such thing. So actually all there is people. If we understand there's only people, then we understand Ai, Panthi, Sagal Jamati. And to do that, Manajite, Jagjit. We have to beat our mind starts to divide the world up. But there's no such thing. There's just people. So one thing I realized when I was coming into this Prachar angle, that from very early on, I'd have to change my thinking. My thinking at that time was that certain Jathas are good, such Jathas not so good. I didn't like that, I didn't like this. And I realized actually it doesn't exist. It's just a fantasy. It's on paper, but it's not real. Yeah? You have to look at every single person. There's many people in every Jatha that are different. Yeah? So actually forget the Jatha. Just look at people. And that's the best mentality to adopt. You start thinking panthically, that means stop avoiding thinking as a Jatha and thinking as a Panth. And so actually unite with people, regardless of the differences that you have with people. And that's a big step for some people. That's why Manajite, Jagjit. If the Panth beats this Manmukh idea that the world has to be the same, this Manmukh idea that the world has to have just one Maryada, and this Manmukh idea that everybody has to be the same and we have differences. If we get rid of these differences and think, then we will win the world. Khasa Panthi jeet hovegi if we start to unite. We've got more than enough resources in our Panth to solve every single problem that we're facing. Every single problem we're facing could be solved in 10 years if the Panth united. We've got so many resources at our disposal. So many great people in our Panth. We could change the world. For that, we have to get rid of the differences and unite. But that's where the Panth has to beat its own Manmukhi and follow Guru's mind.
So just to add my 2 cents. One thing I would point out is that in the early part of the 1900s, the Panth did come together and create Sikh Rahat Maryada, which is kind of like a baseline understanding that everyone can sort of say, yes, we agree with this. We can do more than this, but we have a basic understanding around this document. Other than that, there's points of contention. One, I would suggest don't worry so much about them, but if you are worried about it, do some research. I know when I was learning more about these things, I didn't so much take anyone's word on faith. I would try and do the research behind it and see if something makes sense or not. But the commonalities are really much bigger than the differences. So I would suggest on focusing on those commonalities.
Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru.